Have you ever thought of such a people who used to carve mountains and build palaces, who used to say, "Who is stronger than us?" But when the command from the sky came, their palaces were buried under the soil. After Noah, peace be upon him, another people emerged. Between Yemen and Oman, in a region called Al-Ahqaf, they lived. The name of their city was Iram of the Pillars, a city of towering columns that seemed to speak to the sky. Their bodies were as strong as mountains, their height reached the clouds, and their arrogance seemed to tear through the sky. They used to say, "We are the inheritors of the earth, and we will remain forever." In the sands of Ahqaf, their urban settlements were spread far and wide. The ground echoed under the hooves of their horses. At night, the light of their lamps shone far into the distance, as if their city was a crown upon the earth. And in their gatherings and assemblies, they often repeated one thing: people like us will never be created again. Even their children at a young age would lift stones to display their strength, and the elders would proudly say, "Our children too will bend the mountains." The people of that time had another strange belief. They thought the wind was their slave. Their young men would stand in the middle of the valley, spread their arms, and say to themselves, "Look, the wind follows our bodies." The elders in their gatherings would boast, "Our forefathers could control the direction of the wind. Who can stop us?" When they saw a storm approaching from afar, they laughed and said, "The wind is with us. It will fall upon our enemies, not upon us." But little did they know that the coming wind had already become their greatest enemy. The people of Ad were not just tall, their physical build was many times greater than that of ordinary humans. Along the riverbanks, their footprints can still be found among the mountains, leaving people astonished. The doors of their houses were so tall that a horse and rider could enter straight inside. Their utensils were made of stone, so large that a single vessel could cook food for an entire family. Time passed, their arrogance grew, and as the years went by, their pride only increased.
Then Allah sent His Prophet Hud, peace be upon him, who said, "O my people, worship only Allah. There is no deity besides Him. Do you want us to abandon the religion of our forefathers? We are powerful. No one can defeat us." Prophet Hud, peace be upon him, said again, "I warn you of a punishment that you cannot even imagine." But when hearts are filled with arrogance, advice shatters like it strikes against stone. Prophet Hud, peace be upon him, would go every day to their markets, their palaces, and their doorways, giving them a final call. Sometimes their chiefs would laugh and say, "Hud, if there were truth in your words, our palaces would have collapsed by now." Sometimes a child would mock his voice, and some people, upon seeing him, would change their path, lest the fear of Allah fill their hearts. One day, Prophet Hud, peace be upon him, went into their assembly, where their chiefs were seated on golden thrones. Hud, peace be upon him, said, "Look at the system of nature created by Allah. Your power is nothing." But their chiefs laughed. "Stop these small threats. If punishment comes, we will stop it with our strength." A few days before the punishment, a strange scene occurred in the valley of Ad. At night, in the sky, a deep sound was heard. No cloud thundered, no lightning flashed, but it felt in the valley as if someone was calling from afar. The people of Ad would hear this sound and say to each other, "This is just the sound of the mountains." Prophet Hud, peace be upon him, said, "This is not a call of mercy. This is a warning." On the second night, the earth trembled slightly, but so little that only the animals became unrest. Yet the humans laughed and said, "Even the earth fears our strength." They did not know that this was the earth's final protest. Then came the decision of Allah.
First, a drought came upon them. For 3 years, not a single drop of rain fell. Rivers dried up, gardens burned away, the earth turned to stone. People kept looking toward the sky. When will the rain come? But the sky responded with silence. In the first year they said, "This is just a small issue. We are powerful people." In the second year, thirst dried their tongues. Empty pots struck against the walls. Animals began to collapse due to thirst. By the third year, from the land of Ad, that laughter, that pride, that voice which once claimed to challenge the sky, had disappeared. And when the people came to Hud, peace be upon him, he did not cry upon seeing them. He only said, "Now the time of punishment is near." Then one day 3 clouds appeared, one red, one white, and one black. A voice called from the sky, "O people of Ad, choose one of these clouds." Their leaders laughed and said, "The black cloud, there is water in it, there is mercy." But they did not know that within that cloud was not mercy, but wrath. The sky turned dark, the wind grew cool. People began to dance and shout, "Look, the rain has come." But it was not rain, it was a storm of punishment. The first blast came. Dust and stones were lifted. With every gust of wind, it felt as though the winds were erasing their very names. The second blast came. Trees fell. Animals were lifted away. All their idols, all their pride, their gardens, their city, everything was scattering into the air. At night, people held their children tightly in their arms, but the storm was louder than their screams. The third blast, humans were snatched into the air. Their palaces, which once spoke to the sky upon pillars, now decayed beneath the sand. For 7 nights and 8 days the storm continued. The sky kept roaring, the earth kept trembling, their palaces, their glory, all turned to dust. Allah said, "And Ad were destroyed by a furious, roaring wind, which he imposed upon them for 7 nights and 8 days continuously. When the wind stopped, there was only silence, only an ocean of sand, and fallen trunks like hollow palm trees remained. But those few who believed with Hud, peace be upon him, Allah saved them. They were given refuge in a cave among the mountains. And Hud, peace be upon him, said, "O my Lord, you are the most merciful. Keep us firm upon the paths that lead to you." When Hud, peace be upon him, stood above the valley, looking at the destroyed city, his eyes filled with tears. These were the people who once said, "Who is stronger than us?" And now even their living traces had scattered in the wind. Hud, peace be upon him, said, "The end of arrogance is always destruction, and disobedience to Allah leads to ruin." Chapter 5. A lesson for us in today's time. Even today, beneath the sands of Al-A'raf, the city of Iram lies buried as a testimony that honor does not come from power and glory, but only through obedience to Allah. If you liked this Quranic story, then like the video. Write in the comments which people's story you want to see in the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is not just a story, it is a reality that always reminds us that when a human becomes arrogant and establishes injustice, Allah erases them.